During the next 10 minutes, we will discuss the most important business events taking place between June 4th and 10th. This is Events Around the Corner on Kazakh TV. On June 5th, Greece will have to repay an IMF loan. The parliamentary elections will take place in Turkey on the 7th. The 24th meeting of the Federation of Labor Unions of Kazakhstan will be held on June 10th in Astana. Let's discuss this news in detail. On June 4th, the first Russian nanosatellite symposium, RusNanoSat 2015, will be held in Samara. Scientists from Russia, Kazakhstan, Belarus, Italy, USA and Denmark will attend the event. Representatives of air and space companies, academic institutions and universities will also be among the guests. Professionals will discuss the new opportunities for use of nanosatellites and their orbital grouping to solve practical and scientific tasks. Symposium participants will review the specifics and problems of designing and building this type of spacecraft. Building nanosatellites is a very promising and innovative part of space technology. There is a clear trend towards having more of them. In 5 years, they will be launched in hundreds. This is unprecedented in the space industry. The world is going in the direction of miniature solutions. Recently, global universities have shown a growing interest in production of miniature satellites. Around 2 years are required for creation of a nanosatellite, and during this period students are involved in an interesting and complex process. They pass through all stages of making a real spacecraft: development, manufacture, testing, launch and operation. Results of current and previous missions of nanosatellites will be presented at the symposium. Researchers from the Al-Farabi Kazakh National University will tell how a group of nanosatellites is able to perform space fire monitoring. The nanosatellite monitoring of the zones prone to fires is an urgent topic. Why is it so? It is often that we are not quick enough to track down a fire. By grouping nanosatellites on near-Earth orbit, we will be able to see fires in real time and advise operators on the ground. On June 5th, Greece will have to make another repayment of an IMF loan. Between June 5th and 19th, Greece undertook to make 4 payments for the total of 1.6 billion euro. Interior Minister Nikos Voutsis said this money cannot be paid because it's not available. Whereas Finance Minister Yanis Varoufakis stated that Greece made huge concessions in negotiations with international creditors and is waiting for its partners to make a step forward too. He added that the country's withdrawal from the Eurozone would be a catastrophe for both Greece and the common European currency project. The Financial Times claims that many Eurozone officials stopped paying attention to Greece's warnings about the default because they believe that Greek politicians use this as a tactic for negotiations. German Finance Minister Wolfgang Schäuble said he didn't see any need for considering alternatives for Greece because the previous obligations under the existing loan had to be fulfilled first. The total Greek debt is 323 billion euro, which is 175% of the country's GDP. Since financial crisis in the European Union in 2010, Greece's economy has shrunk by 25% and youth unemployment has come to 50%. If Greece doesn't agree on the restructuring of the debt with international creditors anytime soon, the country will face a default. Winners in the Robotics Challenge international competition will be announced in the US on June 6th. The challenge is organized by DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. 25 of the top robotics organizations in the world will gather to compete for $3.5 million in prizes. This inventor-stimulating competition was created in response to the Fukushima accident in Japan. After this catastrophe, humans couldn't work to eliminate disaster consequences due to high radiation levels and the risk of reactor explosion. Contestants will have to present robots capable of penetrating a destroyed building and making video recording. This is the third time the competition is held, but this time it has got new rules. Robots must have autonomous power supply and minimum dependence on the human operator. The robotics industry is growing throughout the world. Kazakhstani developers put their efforts to foster it in our country as well. A special attention is paid to make robotics popular among youth. Annually, events focusing on robotics are held in Kazakhstan, last year's National Robot Olympic Games being one of them. Recently, Karaganda saw the first national festival of robotics, RoboLand 2015. The most important achievements in this sphere will be showcased at the Expo 2017. The general elections will take place in Turkey on June 7th. Earlier, 31 parties stated they were willing to take part, but 12 of them didn't submit candidate lists and were excluded from the competition. The remaining political associations will share 550 parliament seats. At the previous elections to parliament in 2011, the ruling Party of Justice and Development received almost 50% of the votes. The party, which had been in power for almost 10 years, also won last year's elections with local government authorities. Its leader, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, won the presidential elections in August 2014. Currently, Prime Minister Ahmet Davutoglu is the leader of the ruling party. In March this year, Tayyip Erdogan said that the general elections would help change the political system in the country from parliamentary to presidential. According to Erdogan, more than 52% of the population support this decision and the amendment of the constitution, as it is necessary for fulfilling the government agenda by 2023. One of the objectives is Turkey's joining of the world's 6 most developed countries, an increase in the living standard, and a strengthening of the country's international influence. Worldwide Developers Conference 2015, the global Apple developers event, will be held in San Francisco on June 8th. Traditionally, Apple will unveil an innovation which will define the company's development and market as a whole. This year, the new version of Apple TV is anticipated. The company will need help from app developers from around the world to fully unlock the potential of the appliance. A serious overhaul of the set-top box has been announced. Apple TV will have a streaming box with 25 channels. The new update will also bring an app store for the Apple TV, turning it into a pivotal multimedia and gaming device. The HomeKit feature will ensure Apple TV's connectivity to other smart home devices. The iTunes Stream Audio is another important market segment in which Apple wants to strengthen its positions. The long-awaited Beats Music revamp may be announced as well. It is likely that Beats Music will eventually evolve into Apple Music with the opportunity to listen to audio streams of high quality. The iOS 9 will be also unveiled at the conference, but launched not earlier than September. In addition, developers will get information about the progress of Apple Pay and the first results of mass use of Apple Watch and relevant applications. The contract of Mikhail Zadornov, the president and chairman of the board of VTB24 Bank, was to expire on June 9. However, the Observer Council of VTB24 extended the contract by another 5 years, electing him as the CEO of the bank until June 9, 2020. At the same time, the decision was made to extend the contracts of other members of the board. Recently, a reshuffle has been carried out at VTB Kazakhstan, the daughter company of Russia's largest bank. Chairman of the board Sergei Gusarov was asked to leave. Gusarov held the office for 5 years. First deputy chairman of VTB Kazakhstan, Alexander Kostyan, was named acting chairman of the board. The regional network of VTB Kazakhstan includes 17 offices and more than 30 sales points. By results of last year, the net revenue of the company was $4.6 million. The 24th meeting of the Federation of Labor Unions of Kazakhstan will be held in Astana on June 10th. The results of the previous years will be summed up and the priorities for the next 5 years defined. The main program document of the upcoming meeting is a strategy of labor unions' activities from 2015 to 2019, covering all dimensions of labor unions' work. The event will focus on discussing labor and social and economic rights of workers and ensuring proper occupational conditions. The attendees will consider the policies for labor remuneration and social partnership. 300 delegates who represent all economic sectors of the country will attend the event. Leaders of international organizations and labor unions from more than 35 countries are also expected to come. At the time being, the Federation of Labor Unions of Kazakhstan unites around 2 million workers. This has been our perspective on the coming week. You've watched Events Around the Corner. See you next time on Kazakh TV.